Let's face it, everyone nowadays can make a decent video using their mobile phone. Great for filming Aunt Bessie's birthday or the kids in the garden, but probably not ideal for impressing your clients or suppliers. As a video production company, one of the most common questions we get asked is, how much does it cost to produce a professional video? The usual reply is, well, it depends, and well, it does. In this video, we look at what goes into the making of a commercial video and what affects the cost. The first thing to understand is the length of the video has very little impact on the final cost. A 30-second TV commercial, for example, will cost considerably more than a 2 to 3 minute talking heads video. That's because time and labour rather than length is the major cost factor. It's also a consideration when choosing the best type of video to get your message across. Is it animation, which is much more labour intensive than live action? Are you filming on location or using our green screen studio? Does it need a script producing? If so, that means hiring a professional voiceover artist to tell the story or include on-screen text. These are just a few of the components that make up the cost of producing your video. To help you budget for your next video, there are 4 key stages to consider. We call them the 4 Ps. The first is planning. Ask yourself, what do I want to achieve from my video? Is it to inform, educate, persuade, change perceptions? Also, what are my goals, my aims and objectives, and who am I aiming it at? My target audience. It's also a good idea at this stage to consider the creative aspect. How do you want your video to look and feel? Formal, serious, entertaining, informative? Looking at examples you've seen and liked will help you decide. We can then sit down and see how best to achieve your objectives. The next P is pre-production or project planning. This is where we will go through all the separate components needed to turn your idea into a finished production. In most cases, especially for longer videos, this will also include creating an outline storyboard. This will help you visualize how the video will look and ensure we are both working to the same brief. Once the format and content are agreed, we can work out what resources are required. This will include equipment, staffing, site locations, filming and editing time, including the production of any screen, titles or graphics. If you already have a library of usable material, this will keep the costs down. If your video is using a voiceover narration or on-screen presenter, we will need to source a matched talent. A professional artiste costs money but undoubtedly adds the finishing touch to your production. You can of course save money by using your own people. As you'll see from the examples in the description, this could end up cheapening the finished product. The third P is production, the fun bit. It's also the stage where costs can rocket if not carefully planned beforehand. For example, most corporate videos tend to be filmed on the client's premises where costs can be contained, but there may be a need to travel to other locations to create the desired result. Travel time and subsistence all need to be built into the cost. Depending on the size and complexity of the shoot, we may also need to use specialist equipment such as drones or cherry pickers. This may also include the need for specialist staff. There is no doubt that filming on location can be quite daunting. If outdoors, there's weather to consider. If indoors, setting up an area that is suitable for filming can sometimes be quite challenging. It's rarely as quick as expected, so it's a good idea to build some buffer time into the costings. Planning this extra time into the production stage can streamline the process and keep the costs down. The final P, and probably the most important stage of the whole process, is post-production. This is where the magic starts. Editing is probably the most critical stage of the whole process. This is where the film truly comes alive. It's also very labour intensive. When it comes to pricing up a video, the same principles to filming apply. The more complex the storyboard, the longer the editing process. Imagine how long it takes to troll through all the footage you filmed to select the best scenes to tell the story. And it takes even longer if you have hours and hours of interview footage to edit. On-screen graphics can really help to set your video apart, from simple titles and logos to powerful motion graphics, 3D models, green screen, and even animated characters. These are all very achievable, but once again, influence the cost. Filming live action that is bespoke to you is obviously the preferred route, but using stock footage can be a cost saver. For example, if you want to add an aerial shot over London, buying stock footage will be a lot cheaper than hiring a drone or helicopter to obtain the same results. So, there we have it. The 4 Ps of what goes into making a video. The only other items to mention are the extras that make your video even more accessible. It's a global marketplace, so you may want to include audio translation or foreign language subtitles for overseas viewers. Also, don't underestimate the value of subtitles. 80% of users won't have the sound on when watching your video. So, that's what goes into making a professional video and why it's almost impossible to give a standard reply to the question, how much does it cost to produce a professional video?